Hey, awesomes, how's it going? Well, welcome to week 9. Um, so sorry I was not quite up to par last week. I'm feeling much better. Doesn't sound like it, but it's going the right direction. So anyway, thank you for your patience. If you didn't see my notice yesterday, we are going to give you some extra time to. If you still need a few extra days to get your groups together for Project 3. And just continue to post those to the Week 8 discussion post. That'll be fine. Keep working on that. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you with that. And then we'll keep moving forward with this week. So thank you to all of you who sent out emails, hoping I get to feeling better. I am too. I appreciate it. Finally felt good enough to get out and actually get my hair cut, so I don't look as shabby to you, hopefully to you anyway. All right, guys. So let's talk about week 9. So now that we have we're almost done forming our groups, putting those things together, now we're going to start actually getting into the research, writing the research, thinking about how we're going to write the research. Recall from our readings a couple of weeks ago. In our week 7 discussion post, I asked you to kind of think about addressing the main ways that you could research your particular topic, and then we could make sure that we could hit, excuse me, make sure that we could hit both the primary and the secondary research, because that is quite important that we get some good practice in Project 3 of doing both. Secondary research, while it can be complicated, and depending on your vantage point, I guess, your perspective, you might think that primary research is easier. Some might think secondary research is easier, and vice versa. Primary research, just refresh our memories, primary research is when we're actually going to get out and talk to people, and recall that in Project 3 it does require a certain component of that, whether it's through interviews, surveys, like a questionnaire or something like that. You're speaking to, depending on your topic, and we'll talk more about that as we go throughout the week as well. Once I get all the week 8 discussion posts, I'll probably make some comments back to each one of the groups. But what we need to think about too is, depending on our topic, to whom do we need to be speaking, and that will largely depend, like I said, on the topic. So for our primary research, and then our secondary research will be finding good quality sources, some peer-reviewed sources, as well as if we do need to dip into the popular brand of sources, we'll need to make sure that we consider still how reliable. We might not be able to reach validity, but we can at least establish some reliability depending on the author, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So things to be thinking about as we're moving forward. So for this week's readings, we're going to start talking about some of the things in writing research paper, and this is linked right here. And this is just some good basic research techniques and things to think about when it comes to writing research papers, as we are writing kind of doing professional research methods. Right, we're technically writing a report, but it has a certain element of research in it. So, and then of course I'm asking you to as well, since we are going to work towards getting the collaborative research proposal due by this Sunday, and I'm probably going to extend that, but let's still push towards getting as much done as we can this week. We need to think about that collaborative research proposal, so I've asked you to review the Project 3A assignment sheet, and then do something with the discussion posts again this week, and try to tie those in so that we can reduce the amount of dual work, at least, that we're doing. Sorry about that. Okay. Mom's texting me, so I apologize. Okay. What else do I look at? Let's quickly look at let's look at Project 3A. I do want to make maybe a few points here about the collaborative research proposal. So this is our proposal, and so here's our overview and rationale, and kind of here's the basic things that we want to do. Right, some of our the purpose we have for this, and that's to find, articulate a problem that can be addressed with research, and so we've kind of started that process already. It's what you've posting for week 8 discussion post. And then we'll think about developing some patterns of inquiry, both primary and secondary, strengths and weaknesses as writers and researcher, so you can assign roles to budget your time and energy, and this is where you as a group will will discuss amongst each other perhaps what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? But where you are all also participating in the overall final product, not only when it comes to the research proposal, the memo, but then the actual report itself. And then formally plan your project's life cycle for collaborating, drafting, sharing, getting feedback, revising, editing, and this kind of think about all these kind of responding to the last couple of weeks in week 7 discussion post and obviously in week 8 discussion post, having you think about these kinds of things. And I ask you in the week 7 discussion post not only to kind of think about how you do primary and secondary research, right? So then you'd be kind of talking about maybe the patterns of inquiry, and then to start thinking about how you might think about managing, right? So since you haven't formed a team just until just now, maybe you don't know those strengths and weaknesses perhaps just yet. However, you can kind of think about, you already know maybe perhaps with some of your other group members how they kind of would plan the project's life cycle for collaborating, right? Drafting and sharing. Now you want to be a little bit more specific than say, okay, we're going to use Slack, or we're going to use Google Docs, or we're going to use a combination thereof, or whatever, right? Google Hangout or Google Drive, and et cetera, right? There's obviously ones that are a little bit more conducive to what we're doing in this particular project, but I'm going to leave that largely up to you. And then also you want to think about how you're going to then run through these different steps, right? What do you feel like your group's going to tackle first? What are you going to do second? Who's going to do what? And perhaps in what kind of a time frame. So another thing what you do when it comes to proposing your research report, it's a problem-solving activity, but it's not meant to propose like the final answer to a problem. So this is why we have the 3 different types of reports that we're going to do, and that is where might make a recommendation, we might provide some information, and we might have an actual proposal. The proposal doesn't necessarily either, it does not have to solve or answer the problem as this is definitive, right? In fact, it probably shouldn't. Okay. It's a promise to someone that you have a plan to perform useful research writing for your final report. Okay. Discovering a problem. This research proposal is also a useful genre that I kind of want to talk about because you get the opportunity to work in teams, form groups, work amongst each other, with each other to solve these problems, to articulate these particular strategies, establish standards for your work. So you want to make a 3 to 6 page research proposal using Markell's Chapter 11 as kind of a guideline, as this offers sound advice on types of research proposal. So use that as your guide of how you think you're going to do. So here's kind of now we get into the structure, right? So, so the first thing you want to do is open up the Project 3A research proposal. Open up with an overview of the problem, the proposed program or plan of work, and the qualifications and experience. Okay, so this is the all the kind of the components. Now we're going to break it down, right? So start with an introduction. Strong draft of a problem statement describing the problem or opportunity you will be addressing with your final report. Okay. The introduction should contain a purpose and an audience statement. Right? To whom are you writing? What is it you're trying to get across? And the introduction should also contain a background and the discussion of your key sources of information. Then you should have a plan of work, right? So this is here we're kind of extrapolating, just kind of FYI. So we got the summary and overview of the problem. That's the introduction, the proposed program or plan of work, and then you'll have the qualifications and experience. So here's the next section. You should have a plan of work. So you have your forms of inquiry. You're going to do site work, interviews, data analysis, word work, source work, what kind of things you're going to be doing. And then make sure you hit all these bullet points as well. And we'll talk a little bit more with this, just kind of a rough overview. Description of the qualifications. What are your relevant skills? If the budget, if appropriate, right? And the life cycle. Supporting text. Then we have Chapter 11, 12, and 13. And then here again we have the 3 to 6 page research proposal composed as a team. Now, something very specific about the research proposal, and as far as some of its specific guidelines, as far as like how you might format that and things of that nature. And so, since this video is kind of really getting long, I'm going to stop here, and I'll be back later with you by Wednesday at the very latest, and we'll talk more about specifically formatting and look at some examples. How's that sound? All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. Again, thank you for your patience last week. I know I've got a lot to catch up on for you this week, and I'm working diligently to get that done for you because I know I've got grading to do as well. So I'm going to be tackling that, and then I've got lots of inquiries about Project 1A, about further revisions on Project 1A. Yes, I'm going to allow further revisions on Project 1A, and I will be out with some specific instructions about how we're going to do that. Okay? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I wish you all a most wonderful week. Please let me know if there's more that I can do for you. Bye.